tomorrow, Monday, October 31st at 3:35 a.m. Eastern, 0735 GMT, a Chinese Long March 5B will launch the Mengtian module to the Chinese space station. This is the second um, expansion module to be launched to the CSS. So there's the tianhe core module, and then there's the science module that they launched last year, and now the mengtian module will be launched. Now, there very likely will be live coverage of this launch, but it will not be available on my channel, not only because, well, primarily because it happens in the middle of the night, my time, and I will be sleeping. So there may be another YouTube channel covering it, or you may have to hunt around for coverage on Weibo or whatever the whatever the Chinese site is that always has bootleg launch coverage, or maybe even CGTN official channels might have it. On Tuesday, November the 1st, might be a launch, a much awaited launch of a SpaceX Falcon Heavy, that's with the 3 boosters, with the ussf 44 satellite. Now, I say maybe because although the November 1st launch date is cited on a couple of different launch schedule sites, it actually isn't mentioned by SpaceX, and I checked the Federal Aviation Administration TFRs, the temporary flight restrictions, and there is currently no flight restriction in place for November the 1st. Now, it's not uncommon for TFRs not to be issued until shortly before they become active. So, we're a couple days ahead of time here. So it wouldn't be surprising if the TFR was not filed yet or not published yet. But, so I don't know if there's been a delay. SpaceX hasn't officially mentioned anything about it. But if it hasn't been delayed, look forward to the next Falcon Heavy launch, which we haven't seen a Falcon Heavy launch in quite some time, at least a couple of years. And it'll be exciting to see another one go up. So let's see. This mission is for the U.S. Space Force, as one might gather from the name, ussf. Will deploy 2 spacecraft payloads directly into geosynchronous orbit. Now that's what this description says. Now normally, satellites bound for geostationary or geosynchronous orbits are placed into a geosynchronous transfer orbit by the launching spacecraft. But apparently this time, Falcon Heavy will be taking it all the way directly to its geosynchronous orbiting location, which is a little unusual. Let's see. Also on board is the military's Tetra 1 microsatellite. The side boosters, the Falcon Heavy side boosters, will land at landing zones 1 and 2 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and the core stage will be expended. So this will not be a 3-booster landing. It will be a 2-booster landing with the core stage being expended, presumably because it needs to achieve the extra thrust in order to put the upper stage on a trajectory directly to the geosynchronous orbital altitude. On Wednesday, November 2nd at 11:25 p.m. Eastern, 03:25 UTC on the 3rd, is a SpaceX Falcon 9 launch of Hotbird 13G for Eutelsat, a TV broadcasting satellite, another one bound for geostationary orbit. This one, however, will be placed in a geosynchronous transfer orbit by the rocket, and then the satellite itself will circularize its orbit once it reaches geo, as opposed to the Falcon Heavy launch. On Thursday, November 3rd, at 12 p.m. Eastern, 1600 UTC, is a NASA media teleconference update on the Artemis 1 mission. Now, as we know, Artemis 1 was supposed to launch a couple of months ago, but they had issues with hydrogen leaks and thermal controls in the engine, and the launch window slipped, and so to head off the inevitable questions about the launch time for Artemis 1, it's currently scheduled for November the 14th. And so at just after midnight, I think 12:07 a.m. Eastern on the November the 14th. But on November the 3rd, there will be a NASA conference providing updated information on the mission. So I will provide coverage of that on my channel. Normally, I don't do media teleconferences unless they're important, and this one's pretty important. So, and now if we forward to next Sunday, November the 6th at 2 a.m., daylight savings time will be ending in the USA and presumably many other locations as well. I think in some places they already ended their daylight saving time. Maybe the UK. There's like a week difference in when they start and stop their daylight savings. But in any case, what this means is that clocks will be rolling back 1 hour. So at 2 a.m., clocks will roll back to 1 a.m., and they'll relive 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. And Eastern Daylight Time will become Eastern Standard Time. And whereas currently we are here in the Eastern Time Zone, we're in GMT -4, we will become in, let me say that a little more gracefully. The new GMT offset will be GMT -5. So you'll see 5 hours difference between the GMT or UTC time and Eastern Standard Time in my schedule listings. And then a few hours later, also next Sunday, November 6th, at 5:50 a.m. Eastern, 10:50 UTC, is the launch of a Northrop Grumman Antares rocket with the Cygnus NG-18 SS Sally Ride cargo spacecraft to the International Space Station. Now, this will be launching from Wallops in Virginia. And so if you're in the mid-Atlantic states anywhere, you might get a chance to see it. This being a pretty early morning launch, it might look pretty awesome as it rises up over the sunrise, and the exhaust plume gets illuminated by the rising sun. Now it's going to arrive in 1 or 2 days after that, but that extends beyond next week's SpaceWeek, and so I will cover that next week.